アトム。
Hey, what's going on, buddy? Welcome back. We're here. So let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about this. Avatar 2, The Way of Water. I recently got back. Well, I watched it midnight release. Okay. If there's one thing I want to say, is that when you have a film that sets the bar, so high for stuff like this, it's the fact that certain expectations are raised, upping the scale. This film did that. This film, okay? For those of you who are not aware, Avatar is set in a futuristic setting where a company called RDA is mining unobtainium on a planet called Pandora. The main character is Jake Sully, former Marine, who lost the use of his legs, and is approached by the RDA science group to drive an avatar, which is a highly bioengineered humanoid type creature with DNA from the indigenous population of the Na'vi with human DNA. Right? I'm not gonna go into too much of what the first one was about. For those who know. But this film is set 10 years into the future. Okay, and it showcases the battle after the Tree of Souls. Now, I will say this: a lot of people don't like CGI films, but the fact that James Cameron and his team, shout outs to them, went and shot for the stars with this, just shooting all the CGI with underwater effects from the ecosystem to the creatures to the aquatic life to the tribe that is centered around it. It was amazing, but it's also a story about family, right? This is where I'm going to talk about spoilers. So, for those who have not seen the film, stop this video right now. Come back later. Okay, here we go. So, in the film, right, it's set 10 years into the future, like I said, after the Battle of the Tree of Souls. And Jake is now married to Neytiri. He is now Olowoktan, chief of the Omaticaya people of the forest. And him and Neytiri, in the 10 years that Pandora has been at peace, they sent the Sky people, or the RDA people, back to Earth, defeated. Some people stayed. And life is just great. This man's at an all-time high. He starts having his kids, one by one, and he starts living a peaceful life. The days of being a warrior, a marine are over, but Jake sees a star in the sky, and the Sky people return, but this time they come in force. They're not here to mine and coexist. They're here to basically fully take over Pandora, because Earth, as we know, in this time setting, is dying, right? And the one person that is on the top of that hit list is Jake, because he led a rebellion against the Marine force that was there. In saying so, at first it's going well. Jake understands how the humans think because he was one, using the knowledge he had as a Marine, giving these people a fighting edge, to basically fight for their lives. But now things are different. Before, Jake didn't have much to lose, just him and Neytiri, but now that he's married, he's also a father, and people know that once children are in the mix, your whole priorities do this. They shift around. So for Jake, it's very difficult for him to have to balance two lives with, the family that he's sworn to protect is Olowoktan, but also the fact that he's now a father of 5 children, 3 born, 2 adopted. After the fact that one mission, it just goes completely sideways, and Jake reevaluates that, he has to be very careful. On top of which, his old arch nemesis, who we thought was dead, Colonel Quaritch, returns, and now fully utilizing the Avatar system to basically combat Jake and the Omaticaya people. And upon seeing this, Jake makes the realization that because his family is a target, the rest of anyone that harbors him or follows him will also be in trouble as well. So, in my mind, what most people would not call a tactical decision, but it's the only choice he has, Jake decides to leave, to basically be excommunicated from the Omaticaya people, leave the forest, and go far away south to live with the Mekaina people, who are the reef people, which Again, shout out to James Cameron for portraying the Polynesian culture of the Metcaina, the seafaring folk living by the water, dying by the water. It's a whole different ecosystem. Before we had the forest with the first film, detailing the ecosystem of the forest and the planet. Now we have the coral system of the Submariner type era, which is amazing, by the way. I loved it. I was fully engrossed in the film, from the creatures to the ecosystem to the song to the way of life. And now, like I said, it's a story about not also about the continuation of the first film, but it's also a story about family. Each of Jake's kids, Nateam, Loak, Kitty, Tuktairi, and I think, and even Spider, who is also a human, or Miles Socorro. For those who know who Miles Socorro is Quaritch's son, who was left back on Pandora when the RDA was left packing. He was too young to be sent in a cryo capsule, so he was raised along with Jake's kids. But to Neytiri, he's also kind of like an alien, outcast, like a black sheep. While he was raised by the Omatikaya people, he's not Omatikaya, if that makes sense. But that's besides the point. In the film, Jake is just trying to protect his kids, his family, but at the same time, the RDA is not ceasing their attempt to try to flush him out. Again, it gets to a point where Jake has to make a realization that you can't keep running forever. Sometimes you have to make a stand and fight for your home and fight for your people. And that was the whole emphasis of this film, right? Is learning to face your demons, to face your deepest threats, but also learning that while some may say the unity of family is the weakest link, it's also what makes you strong together. Sadly, one of Jake's kids does end up getting killed. Nateam, his oldest, and you see Loak, the younger brother, step up to fill that role, and also each of them trying to figure out who they are in this family as well as where they belong. Again, James Cameron and his team set the bar like really high with CGI for this film. Like, if the 2009 film topped it then, and we're talking about almost a decade later with the CGI just upping the scale, like, I'm scared to find out what James Cameron has planned for the next sequel with CGI. Like, how far can you push the envelope with this? And I hope that every major production film that does CGI, from Marvel to fantasy, sci-fi, whatever, to actually takes notes from this film and actually uses that, because this is a roadmap that James has laid. And to me, this man is a pioneer for this film. There's just so much you could say about it. From the music to the score to the scenes to the creatures, learning to master a new way of life. Learning to forget the old way and learn something new. Learning to adapt into a new environment. It was insane, really, and I'm being honest. But yeah, man, what a great film. Honestly, what a great film. And the fact that from what I was able to read, hold on, here it is. This film had an original cut of 9 hours, and it was cut down by 3. So that's 3, 6, 9. It's almost 6 hours of the film did not make it to the final cut. I know that there is a director's cut of the first Avatar film that included scenes not from the original theater release. So maybe in a couple years we'll see more of this. But I highly encourage people to go see this film, man. This film I was really on the edge of my seat, just wanting more of it. But again, what a great film. What a great film. I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. Like, if I were to rate this film, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Solid 10 out of 10 for me. And I'm not much big of a CGI fan, and I'm being completely honest. Like, here, like, there are certain films with CGI, it's like, it's okay. Like, some of it's just too much, like, you don't need it. Maybe like certain, maybe I just look at the aesthetic pleasing type of aspect of it, and maybe that's it. But yeah, man, what a great film. Honestly, what a great film. I loved it. Again, please, people, go out and go see it. Go see this film for yourself, and you be the judge of that. Again, I don't speak for everybody. My critique on movies is my own taste over a culmination of years and material that I've seen of what I've liked. But I mean, I would really like to know what you guys thought about it. You know, drop a like, drop something in the comments. You know, did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think James Cameron delivered? Do you think this will get recognized for an award? I honestly think it'll get Best Motion Picture. Honestly, because I believe the last film did. I think it got like 2 awards: Best Screenplay and I think Best Motion Picture for CGI. I think. Don't quote me, but yeah. Other than that, man, what a great film. Honestly, what a great film. But like I said, folks, I can go into the weeds with this. I don't want to, but like I said, drop a like, drop a comment, hit that sub button, turn on that bell, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.